What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to another video on high altitude investing. In today's video, I'm going to be teaching you guys how to draw support and resistance on Bitcoin. Before we get started though, if you guys are not a subscriber to my channel, go ahead and make sure that you guys hit the subscribe button, as well as sharing this video with your friends and commenting down below. I also have a Discord group. Links are in the description to join that. There's a lot of other traders in there discussing what they're doing inside of the markets. I also share analysis in there for the free members occasionally, and I have a lot of really good VIP content in there as well. So without further ado, let's get straight into the video. So I'm starting off here on the Bitcoin Bitstamp chart here on tradingview.com, and I'm going to teach you guys how I personally draw support and resistance in the markets. Support and resistance in a generalized basic sense is essentially where the market either supports itself, where the buyers are coming back in, or resists itself, where the sellers are finding strength. So it's really important to draw these support and resistance levels in the big picture and in the smaller time frames so you can understand when we get a bearish break or a bullish breakout. It's very useful if you're looking for opportunities to buy major support levels. It's also useful if you're looking opportunities to take profits on major resistance levels. So I'm going to go ahead and start off with the big picture support levels here on Bitcoin, and then we'll zoom into the smaller time frames and talk a little bit about what could be happening in the smaller time frames from a support and resistance perspective. So you guys, support, like I said, is when the market is being supported by buyers, and it's generally speaking an excellent opportunity for buying back into the market on major support levels, preparing for higher highs. You guys, resistance, like I said, is where the market is seeing sellers, and it's very useful for taking profits and preparing for a rejection so that you can go ahead and buy later. So let's talk a little bit about the big picture support and resistance for Bitcoin here. We're going to go ahead and zoom kind of into this previous cycle here and talk about the support and resistance levels that we saw in the previous cycle. So support and resistance is a zone. I definitely think that it can be useful to use these horizontal lines like the horizontal rays to find support and resistance, but you also have to remember that it's a zone, and so it can move a little bit above or below those levels. Often if it moves a little bit above, it's probably a false breakout of that level because it is a zone. And often if it moves a little bit below, it's often a false breakdown of that level because, like I said, it is a zone. So let's just go ahead and look at what's going on here from a support and resistance perspective on Bitcoin's previous cycle. So I'm going to go ahead and take over here on the left-hand side this rectangle tool, and this is what I personally like to use to draw these support and resistance levels, because then I can give myself space for the zone to actually occur. So let's look here and see kind of what happened when we found support in the previous bull market. So as you guys can see, this cycle right here, let's take this tool. This cycle right here in the previous bull market, we found support right here, this horizontal support zone, which if you zoom way in was actually this support level right here, coming back to test this support level right here. It's kind of hard to see, so I'll just zoom in a little bit here for you guys. As you guys can see, the market found support on this previous level right here. So that support level was a very good zone for buying back into the market before we saw it go higher. And then you guys also find that we had resistance in this zone. This is the area where there's rejections. So this was a major resistance, but we broke decisively above that resistance level and shot up higher inside of the market. But then that resistance level later became a support level. So that's what's called a support and resistance flip. It means that a previous resistance level has now became a major support level, and we continue to see upside. Also in the previous cycle, you guys can see right here where we had all of this resistance right here in the market. There was a sell-off, a sharp sell-off, and then we found support on this previous resistance level, had a support and resistance flip, and then went higher. And then we saw another crash back down to that same area, that same kind of zone of support and resistance. It actually went a little bit lower, but that coincides more with the body of the candles, which used to be resistance in the previous cycle. So that's kind of some support and resistance as far as that goes. Now let's talk about what happened in 2018 when we found support in this area. You guys, those same previous support and resistance levels that we found inside of the bull market right here also became support in the bear market. So when we had the big crash in 2018, everybody got really scared. And I was making a lot of videos about accumulation, long-term buying, and long-term investing in crypto. We found support on this level right here. We then proceeded to push up towards major resistance levels, which would be right here was a major resistance level, as you guys can see. We also had resistance right here. So you guys can see how we pushed up to those major resistance levels. We then rejected off of those resistance levels. We can draw these as red to kind of demonstrate the resistance. We can draw these ones as green to demonstrate the support. That's not really green. Let's see if we can find a better green here. That's better. So that's support down here. And that was kind of the COVID panic right here where everybody was really scared, where I was posting more videos about how bullish Bitcoin was. And that support level then proceeded to be a very strong support level. We then came up and pushed through these resistance levels decisively. We then came up and tested this major resistance level and then found support. So this used to be resistance and then it became support right here. As you guys can see, this right here became support into the market. And then we went ahead and shot higher inside of the market. This right here was another resistance level right here, as you guys can see. But that resistance level was rejected very quickly and then was also found support very quickly as well. And then we saw a decisive break above that resistance. So whenever you get a very decisive break above resistance, especially an all-time high level like this, where the previous all-time high was at 20,000, it's usually a sign that the market is very quite bullish. It's also very, very common for you to see a retest of the previous all-time high as a new support level. When you break above that level and then it comes back down and tests it as support, that's usually a really, really good time to be getting back into the market based on that support level being found that used to be a resistance level. So these support and resistance flips are very, very useful, you guys. Something I'm watching on a regular basis inside of these markets. So if we move up higher here and kind of look and see what's going on with current price action in Bitcoin, as you guys know, I am personally short-term bearish. We will talk about the support and resistance levels in the shorter time frames in here in just a second, so I can show you guys kind of where I personally would be watching support if we don't fail support right here. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate that this is a 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 wave correction. So the 4 wave is a very, very good buying opportunity inside of the market. That's what I'm personally expecting to have happen here inside of Bitcoin, is this kind of correction between the 3 and the 4, a very, very common ABC correction pattern in between a 3 and a 4 wave. So we're looking to buy the bottom of that C. And what's actually very interesting is this 4 wave coincides very nicely with that resistance level. So this used to be resistance on the way up, and now it's support because we're looking to find that area as support on the way back down. So that's kind of a level that I'm personally watching based on support and resistance for Bitcoin as an area to buy back into the market. So let's go into the smaller timeframes here and talk a little bit about support and resistance inside of these timeframes. So as you guys know, if we kind of zoom out a little bit here so we have a bigger zone, as you guys know, we're looking to find support on the previous resistance levels. So these were resistance. So we're going to go ahead and draw a big support level in this area. And it is a zone, and I'm going to have a pretty wide zone here because I like to ladder back into my positions. So I'm not trying to call the exact bottom of where the market is going to go to, but I have a zone where I have many, many orders set inside of that zone to give the market room to find support. So this is a pretty big zone, I know, but if you actually zoom all the way out, it doesn't look as big. It's just because we're in the 2-hour time frame here. But if we go kind of into the smaller picture here and zoom in even a little bit more, and then we go ahead and take this rectangle tool, we can start drawing more support and resistance levels. So obviously we have resistance up here at the all-time high. We have resistance right here because it was support on the way down, bounced up, and then now it's becoming resistance right here. And then we have support right here in the market as well. So let's just go ahead and draw this as resistance. We'll go ahead and draw this one as resistance as well. And then kind of on a more micro level, we have support right here inside of the market. So we'll make this a support level. So what we really want to see, you guys, with Bitcoin here, to confirm my bearish counts and for us to see more downside and come test these bigger support levels, this bigger box down here, we really want to see this support level, this zone between 4,700 and 4,900 per Bitcoin, 49K, 47K actually, become resistant. So we want to see this support level fail, decisively fail, and then become a resistance level. So then we would go ahead and mark this as red because it would be resistance at that point. However, we have not felt that support level yet. So when you're looking at kind of the prices here inside of Bitcoin, it could potentially find support on this level, break above this resistance level, come back down, create this as a support level, and then proceed to go higher from here. That is not my primary count. My primary count is bearish for a multitude of reasons. Some of the reasons I'm not going to share in detail in this video because it is VIP content, the fractals that I have and kind of the more detailed analysis around it. But you guys, what I'm personally expecting to have happen is this support level to fail. We're seeing rejections off of this resistance levels. And we actually do see kind of a bearish pattern here. This is a bearish continuation pattern, small rising wedge pattern right here. And then we have kind of this channel forming right here as well. And this is also support and resistance, you guys. Whenever you have an upward pointing channel like this, or a horizontal channel like this, or a downward pointing channel like this, there's support and resistance inside of those ranges. It's a trading range. And that's kind of what we're seeing here happening in Bitcoin. We have this rising wedge structure right here. And then we have more of a bearish flag structure forming right here, which is actually when the channel is pointed up like this. And generally what happens is when you get a decisive break of that support level right here, you then go ahead and get downside continuation. So that's what I'm personally expecting to see inside of Bitcoin. So there isn't only horizontal support, there's also downtrending support, uptrending support, and those levels can be very useful as well. For example, trend lines are an example of upward pointing support. As you guys can see in Bitcoin here, we had this trend line where we tested it multiple times, and then we made a decisive break below that trend line. So that would have been a failure of that support level, confirming more downside. And so that's kind of what I use when I'm drawing support and resistance, you guys. Generally speaking, I like to have less levels drawn. So the less levels, the better. For example, in the big picture here, really all I would be watching here is this major resistance level right here, this short-term support level right here, and this bigger kind of zone down here where we have a lot of price action, a lot of rejection and support being found in this area. And that's actually where I personally am expecting the market to go. Let's just go ahead and make this one a resistance level like that, red for resistance. So the simpler, the better when it comes to support and resistance. It's not very useful, you guys, to have like 10 billion lines drawn on the chart because you're just not going to get, it's just going to confuse you. You're probably over trading. You're probably over analyzing the market. It's a lot simpler just to have the very, very basic support and resistance levels drawn. So yeah, you guys, that's kind of what I'm watching here in Bitcoin. I do see this as bearish structure still. Like I said, support and resistance can change that. If we get a decisive break above this resistance level right here, and we start to get above the 618 Fibonacci level, which is measuring from this peak down to this low right here. If we start to get above the 618 Fibonacci level, I will change my trading plan and I will buy back into the market. But for now, I see a lot more downside risk, and I want to see a decisive break below this horizontal support level, and then a decisive break below this horizontal support level right here. And that will confirm my current thesis of Bitcoin testing these lower support levels before returning to its big picture trend, which I definitely think it will, you guys. I think that Bitcoin will return to a big picture trend. I don't think that this is the top of the entire Bitcoin market. I think that's kind of ridiculous to think that, but it does look a lot more like a 3-4 wave structure here before we go for a big, probably extended 5th wave. I personally think that because of the hype around cryptocurrency, I think we will see another extended 5th wave. We did see an extended 5th wave in this previous cycle here, where we can go ahead and quickly draw a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then a huge extended 5th wave right here. So Bitcoin and crypto does have a history of seeing extended 5th waves. So I do expect us to see a huge extended 5th wave right here as well with Bitcoin. But I personally think that we will see an ABC correction and a 4 wave before we actually reach that level. So that's my current counts on Bitcoin. That's how I personally draw support and resistance. So you guys, kind of to sum it up, keep it simple. The less support and resistance lines, the better. Use these rectangle boxes for zones so that you can give the market space to FOMO, to reject, to have false breakouts or false breakdowns. And then also, like I said, you guys, just make sure that you keep things very simple and stick to these bigger time frames, especially because these bigger time frames are going to give you the most support and resistance levels drawn. So that's my current thesis on Bitcoin, you guys. I will keep you guys updated as the market continues to see further price action development. I do expect, like I said, another drop before this correction is over. I have cash ready to buy the dip. This is my personal trading plan. This is not investment advice. So any losses that you guys may experience in trading, you guys do this at your own risk, on your own capital, with your own money and your own personal trading decisions. But I can't see a bullish count yet. That could change, like I said, if support and resistance suggests it. But I just personally think that we will see another leg lower here inside of Bitcoin. So thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. Go ahead and hit the like button, share this video with your friends. Make sure that you guys check out the VIP. Today is probably the last day that I will have that discount running. So you're going to want to make sure that you take advantage of the 20% discount. A lot of new members have been joining in. A lot of people are changing their lives inside of the VIP group. A lot of people are consistently outperforming the markets. And it's really, really exciting to be sharing my personal analysis with you guys inside of that VIP area. So make sure that you guys check that out. Links are in the description box below, or you guys can just go ahead and go to highaltitudecrypto.com and you'll see more information there. Although to actually join, you do send me a Discord message or an email, and I'll send you the applied discount prices and get you guys help set up from there. So thanks again for tuning in today's video. And as always, stay profitable out there.